Welcome to Golden Rule Wisdom, where we explore the deepest truths of existence through stories that touch the very human soul. In a bustling ancient city lived Marcus, a merchant whose wealth was so vast it could rival the kings of old. He possessed everything a man could desire, yet his heart remained as cold as the precious stones he counted every night. Despite the luxury that surrounded him daily, a profound emptiness echoed within his chest, a void that no gold could fill. He watched the common people laughing and sharing meals, wondering why their simple lives seemed so much fuller than his own existence. Night after night, the silence of his mansion was deafening, reminding him that he had built a fortress to keep people out. His heart had become a prisoner of his own making, locked away in a safe where vulnerability and love could not enter. He realized that he was the poorest rich man in the world, starving for meaning while drowning in an ocean of coins. One fateful evening, as the sun began to set, a mysterious figure emerged from the mist, standing before the merchant's gates. The traveler wore humble clothes, yet his eyes held a light that seemed to pierce right through Marcus's expensive silk robes. He spoke not of trade or profit, but of a journey to find a treasure that would never rust or fade away. Marcus laughed bitterly, asking what treasure could possibly exist that was greater than the mountains of gold he already possessed inside. The stranger replied that true wealth is not what you keep in your pocket, but what you carry within your spirit. He offered to guide Marcus to this eternal wealth, but the price for the journey was the finest ruby on his finger. For a moment, greed held him back, but the desperate emptiness in his soul pushed him to take the risk and agree. With a trembling hand, he surrendered his most prized possession, signaling the beginning of a journey that would change him forever. They left the city at dawn, leaving behind the comfort of silk sheets and servants for the uncertainty of the open road. The road was unforgiving and harsh, and Marcus soon found his soft feet blistering under the strain of the long walk. The guide moved with the rhythm of nature, while Marcus fought against every step, burdened by the heavy bag of coins he carried. He had insisted on bringing a bag of gold for emergencies, and the weight of it was now dragging him down physically. As they climbed higher into the mountains, the air grew thinner, and the path became a narrow strip along a steep cliff. Every time Marcus stumbled or complained, the traveler simply waited with patience, offering a silent strength that Marcus did not understand. They rested under ancient trees, and for the first time Marcus tasted water from a mountain stream that was sweeter than wine. He watched his guide find joy in the simple movement of clouds, while he remained anxious about the safety of his gold. Their journey brought them to the edge of a roaring river, its waters wild and untamed, demanding respect from all who crossed. The traveler stepped in with confidence, knowing the currents, but Marcus hesitated, fear gripping his heart as he looked at the water. The current was stronger than it looked, pushing against Marcus with the force of 1,000 hands trying to knock him down. Suddenly his foot slipped on a slick rock, and in his panic to save himself, the heavy bag of gold flew. He watched in horror as half his fortune sank beneath the churning waves, lost forever to the depths of the river. The guide pulled him to safety on the other bank, where Marcus collapsed, shivering not from cold, but from the shock of loss. He lamented the loss of his gold, crying out that he was ruined, while the traveler quietly built a fire to warm them. The guide offered him simple food and warmth, pointing out that the river had only taken what Marcus did not truly need. Hungry and exhausted, Marcus ate the simple meal, realizing that no banquet in his mansion had ever tasted this satisfying and real. The next day, their path led them through a poor village where people possessed little but seemed to share everything they had. He saw a family dividing a single loaf of bread with laughter, their eyes shining with a joy that his gold never bought. A child ran up to him, offering nothing but a wildflower and a smile, expecting no coin or payment in return. For the first time in years, Marcus felt a crack in the ice around his heart as he accepted the simple gift. As they continued, nature put on a display of colors that no artist could replicate, painting the sky in violet and gold. Marcus stopped to watch the sun dip below the horizon, feeling a sense of awe that he had been too busy to notice. The guide watched him silently, knowing that the merchant was finally beginning to see the world not as a market, but as a miracle. That night, under a blanket of stars, Marcus felt smaller than he ever had, yet strangely more connected to the universe. He opened up to the traveler, sharing stories of his childhood dreams that he had buried under layers of ambition and greed. The stranger listened without judgment, acting as a mirror for Marcus to hear his own voice and realize how lost he was. Finally, they arrived at their destination, a cavern that seemed to breathe with an ancient energy hidden deep within the mountain peaks. The guide stopped at the entrance, telling Marcus that he must take the final few steps alone to find what he sought. With a pounding heart, Marcus stepped into the shadows, guided only by a faint, ethereal glow pulsating from the heart of the cave. In the center of the chamber stood a magnificent ancient mirror, its surface swirling like mist before settling into a clear reflection. Marcus looked into the glass, expecting to see mountains of treasure or the secret to eternal life revealed before his eyes. Instead, he saw only himself, but the reflection revealed the truth of his soul, stripped of all his expensive finery. He saw a man who was withered and tired, with eyes that were hollow and dead from years of locking his heart away. Tears streamed down his face as he realized the mirror was showing him the poverty of his spirit despite his material wealth. Then the image shifted, showing him sharing food with the poor, his face glowing with a light that gold could never buy. He saw himself watching the sunset, filled with peace, and he understood that these moments were the true jewels of life. He turned away from the mirror, leaving his older self behind in the shadows, and walked back towards the light of the world. The traveler was waiting, and he did not need to ask what Marcus had seen, for the change was written on his face. Marcus bowed low, not as a merchant to a customer, but as a student to a master, filled with profound gratitude. The guide opened his hand to return the ruby, saying that Marcus had now earned the right to possess such a thing. But Marcus shook his head, pushing the gem away, for he no longer needed it to define his worth or his happiness. He told the traveler to use the stone to feed the hungry and help the poor, for he had found a greater treasure. With a final nod of approval, the mysterious traveler smiled and faded into the mountain mist, his task with Marcus complete. Marcus stood alone on the peak, breathing in the crisp air, feeling richer with empty pockets than he ever had with full vaults. He understood that material wealth can rot, be stolen, or lost in a river, but the wealth of the soul is eternal. True wealth is built from the experiences we gather, the love we share, and the wisdom we gain from simply living. Marcus returned to his city, but he did not retreat to his fortress. Instead, he walked among the people with an open heart. He used his vast fortune not to build higher walls, but to build schools, hospitals, and bridges to connect with his community. He sat with the workers, shared their meals, and listened to their stories, finding more joy in their company than in solitude. His face grew lined with age, but his eyes sparkled with the youth of a soul that had finally learned how to live. He was no longer feared or envied for his gold, but loved and respected for the generosity and kindness of his spirit. His garden, once a lonely place of silence, now echoed with the laughter of children and the footsteps of grateful neighbors. He looked in the mirror and finally saw a man who was truly wealthy, for he carried a treasure that death could not steal. The journey had taken his gold, but it had given him back his life, proving that sometimes we must lose to truly gain. Real abundance is not found in what you hold in your hands, but in what you keep securely within your heart. Life is a journey of transformation, inviting us to step out of our comfort zones and discover the riches of the human experience. May you find the courage to seek your own truth and value the moments that make life truly worth living. Thank you for watching Golden Rule Wisdom. Subscribe for more stories that awaken the soul and inspire the heart. Goodbye for now.